This week on today's Homeowner, we're going to show you 10 easy steps to a successful kitchen remodel. We'll talk about the details you need to sweat and what to have fun with. Plus, we'll plug you into some great tips from pros and worthwhile advice from homeowners who've been through the renovation mill. Hey, stick around. We got a great show for you. Well, you may have heard me say this before. Kitchen renovations are still one of the most popular home improvement projects out there these days, and there's a lot of reasons for it. One, it really has become the center of family life, so money spent in this area is really appreciated. Now, speaking of appreciation, it also will increase the value of your home, make it a lot easier to sell if you ever decide to put your house on the market. Now, what we'll look at this week is how to do it the right way, and this is a pretty good example of that. This is a kitchen that's owned by Joe and Carol Dupree, and they've just completed an extensive renovation just a couple weeks ago. Now, the 10 steps for a successful kitchen renovation starts with planning, finding that inspiration, and establishing a budget. Carol told us that she got her inspiration from a variety of different sources.
I looked in a lot of magazines and went to some parade of homes and looked at some friends' houses.
Carol's kitchen renovation took several months to complete. She's very happy with the results, but she told us there were times when she felt that she was under an awful lot of pressure because of the importance of some of the choices she was making.
Some of these are major decisions because the granite is here to stay.
Right.
I'm not changing the granite. I'm not changing the cabinets. Paint color over time, I might change it. And actually, the lighting was a big decision.
After the fact, it's obvious that Carol made the right decisions. But what about when you're right in the middle of a major kitchen renovation like Ann Hegeman is? Now, she's waited a long time to do this project, so she's developed a pretty philosophical attitude about it.
I had to wait for the moment, and I think when I saw something, I'm not a visionary, but I found a picture. And so when I found the picture, that made me make up my mind. I wanted to do the picture. Kitchen according to the picture. Just relax about everything that if you've made all your decisions. Do not set a date for completion. I have no date for completion. When it's done, it'll be done and then I'll be happy.
Now, if you want to be that content while you're in the middle of a kitchen project, you'll probably want to think very hard about the budget before you get started. Now, begin with just how much you can actually afford to spend on the project. Now, you don't have to spend all that money, but it gives you a ceiling to work under, no pun intended. Now, you also don't want to spend more than you can get back if you sell your home, so you need to look carefully at all of the sales prices of similar homes in your area. The number you arrive at will be a mark you want to stay slightly below because budget overruns happen on even the best planned projects. Once you've decided on exactly what you want to accomplish with your kitchen renovation, it's time to move to step 3, and that's finding the right designer to put it all out on paper and provide the set of drawings you'll need to go to step 4, which is finding, hiring, and managing the contractor that's going to put it all together.
It's really important that you start from the ground up with a remodel or a new kitchen design, that every aspect of the design is approached in a methodical way, that there's a process that you go to that makes a kitchen evolve. So we try to lead the homeowner in a way that we get their input, their design ideas, we select their appliances, we have them choose finishes and door styles, things that they know are appealing to them before we ever put the computer process in motion. So that way they are very clear on they're happy with the direction you're moving in, even though it's an evolution of the design process.
Good communication with the designer is almost as important as the quality of their technical skills, and the same is true for the person who carries out the design. A good remodeling contractor should be licensed to work in your area, have good referrals, and a history of doing good quality work. But you also want to know how well they communicate with their customers. The main thing is to choose a contractor you feel comfortable with, one that you can really communicate with throughout the process. You know, it's not a magical process. Almost any home improvement projects will have a few snags here and there, so you want a contractor that can work together with you on solving these little problems. You know the details are so important when you're putting together a kitchen renovation like this, and the hardware can really make a difference. Now, Joe has a solution to a very common cabinet hardware problem.
Regardless of the size of your kitchen remodeling, it's the small details that can make the project successful. For example, the doorknobs and pulls can enhance the look of the entire kitchen, unless you have a situation like this. Here we have a stripped wooden doorknob, and the reason it pulls right off is that the hole has become enlarged from the screw that it's attached to. Fortunately, there's a really simple repair for this. Take a little wood glue and add it to the hole. You only need a couple of drops, not too much. You don't want it running down the face of the door. Wipe some in there. And then take a toothpick, snap it in half, and put it right into the hole. Now here I'm using round toothpicks, but if you only have flat toothpicks, they work just as well. Break them off cleanly with the back. And what you're effectively doing is just plugging up the hole with new wood. And then just force it back on to the screw and thread it on. Now if you can't hold the screw by hand, you have to use a screwdriver, but ordinarily you can just twist it on. And once it's on nice and tight, you can check it, and there you go. Good as new.
This week we're looking at the 10 steps you need to follow for a successful kitchen renovation. Now we've already looked at the inspiration for remodeling your kitchen, the budget, layout and design, and finding the right contractor to put it all together. Now, a very important step is deciding on cabinets. Now, you may want to refinish the cabinets or you may want to replace the cabinets entirely. That'll depend a lot on the design. Now, in this kitchen, which is Ann Hegeman's kitchen that we spoke with earlier in the show, in order to get the perfect look of the kitchen that she wanted, she had to replace all the cabinets. But the purchase and installation of cabinets represents the bulk of most kitchen renovation budgets. So if yours is a little tight, look long and hard at the possibility of refinishing, repainting, or maybe refacing your existing cabinets. That and maybe the addition of a few new doors can make an enormous improvement without clobbering your wallet. Many times when the cabinets are changing, but the footprint isn't, the old cabinets can be removed while leaving the drywall in place. Now that's how it worked for Carol Dupree, because she was happy with the basic layout of her kitchen, but she wanted to update the look of it. So, other than the removal of one overhead cabinet and the addition of a few recessed lights, the footprint of her kitchen basically remained unchanged with just a few drywall patches here and there. Now, Mrs. Hegeman's kitchen, on the other hand, was taken all the way back to the bare studs, because even though no walls were being moved, the major appliances were being shifted around so much that the plumbing and electrical lines all had to be rerouted. What are you doing with all the countertops?
We're going to use marble
I see.
for the countertops, and we'll use a ceramic slate for the ceramic tile.
As Ann mentioned, she's chosen natural stone for her countertops, and that's a great choice, but natural stone is fairly brittle, so you need to make sure that all the cabinets, once they're in place, nice and level, and all the areas, especially corners like this, are nice and flat, because any little point that's just a little high can create a crack in a natural stone countertop. Now, one thing the fabricators like to do before they prepare anything for the job site is to come out and create a little template so that when they're working on the countertops, everything will be perfect when they bring out those big heavy slabs. Now, when you're ready to get out there and look at all the world of countertops, you better plan on spending a lot of time. The look of natural stone is so popular these days that it's been mimicked in dozens of ways by tons of different materials. Some, like the quartz-based surfaces, are man-made mixtures of natural materials, while others, like the solid surface products, are completely synthetic. Now, each of these surfaces has a few unique advantages of its own, but all of these materials are fairly close to natural granite in terms of cost. But here again, if the budget is tight, there are options that come fairly close. Plastic laminate tops are now being made with alternating surface textures so that they look more like real stone than ever before at a much lower price tag. Now, on to step 7, flooring.
So this is the tile that I had put in about 8 years ago. And with upgrading, I decided I was going to keep the tile.
Unlike that kitchen, this one is getting a brand new floor, and the homeowners decided to go with a very common choice, ceramic tile. Now with ceramic tile, you can run it in a straight line, always looks good, or if you want to add just a little bit of interest, it can be turned on a 45. But get ready to pay a little bit more if you decide to go that route, because you're going to be using more materials and the installer is going to charge you a little extra for all the additional cutting that's necessary for that. But you know, one of the most common emails and questions that I get is, can I use hardwood floors in my kitchen? Well, I have it in my kitchen and it works pretty nice because it flows into some adjacent rooms. It kind of ties everything together, but you do have to be careful for any potential leaks with dishwashers or under your sink or ice makers, and make sure that no water gets to it. Also, what I found is it helps to put a little throw rug in the high traffic areas like in front of the sink or some of the more common walkways. Another alternative to get that look of wood but not put wood down is the laminate flooring, which is something that you're seeing a lot. Very do-it-yourself friendly, but make sure it is warranted for a high moisture use like bathrooms and kitchens. Now, we'll continue our 10 steps for a successful kitchen remodeling right after our best new product, which features a product that might be perfect for your kitchen.
There's never been this much diversity in the materials available for kitchen renovation. But many times what looks neat, well, it's also very expensive or it's difficult to install. But here is a cool option that's neither of those. It's called the Classic Style Backsplash, and it's from ACP. It has the look of stamped metal, but it's actually a thermoplastic panel. Now what that means is that it costs about half as much as a true embossed metal. It's also much lighter, so your installation is easier. And you can use either polyurethane construction adhesive or double-sided tape to attach the panels to the wall. And this overlapping design makes lining them up so simple. When it comes to your kitchen design, there are tons of styles and finishes available in each of these panels. So that means that you can match just about any decor. And because they're plastic, cleanup is as easy as a damp cloth with some mild detergent. Now, in addition to the panels, there are also trim pieces and switch covers and outlet covers available in each of the finishes so that you can create a consistent look throughout your entire kitchen.
We're working our way down the 10 steps for a successful kitchen renovation. Now, on the 8th step in our 10 steps is one that a lot of people have a little trouble with, choosing the right appliance, because there's so much out here to choose from, and it's really the ultimate fusion of style and function, because if you don't like the way it looks, you're not going to be very happy. If it doesn't do the job that you want it to do, you're not going to be happy either. So it's time for a little self-evaluation. How do you really use your kitchen? Do you entertain a lot? Do you cook a lot? Do you maybe use this more than you use this? All those things have to be considered well in advance when you're choosing an appliance, especially when you're working under a budget. Rob and Tina Hinkle are a young couple who went through just that process as they prepared for the transformation of their old kitchen into a new, more functional one. And they discovered that each had slightly different agendas in terms of appliances.
The appliances were definitely a top priority for us in the functionality of the kitchen. And Rob is definitely the one that cooks the most, and he had a good say in what we were, going to get. But the one thing that I've loved the most is the ice maker. That was one of my little perks that we had to get in there.
We're closing in on the final steps for a successful kitchen renovation. Step number 9, choosing the right plumbing fixture. And that will usually start with a selection of the right kitchen sink for your kitchen. Now, when you're choosing a sink, you also need to choose your faucet at the same time, because it will determine a lot to do with the style of the sink that you pick out. And you may choose one that's made of granite, one that's cast iron, or a lot of people still love the old-fashioned stainless steel sink. But nowadays you can get it with a mirrored finish, brush finish, or satin bowl with mirrored finish. So all those decisions have to be made. But another reason to select the faucet at the same time is that some faucets require only 1 hole, others 3 holes, and others require 3 holes plus an extra one for the sprayer. Now, you can also use some of the extra holes that you have in a sink to install, say, an instant hot water dispenser or a filtered water dispenser, or even one of the soap dispensers that a lot of people find very convenient. So you'll see a lot of things to select at the home center when you're looking for the right plumbing fixture, so plan on spending some time on that as well. Now, step number 10 is choosing the right light fixture. A kitchen is a room full of tasks. Tasks like chopping up the salads, rolling out the dough. So it only makes sense to provide adequate lighting for all of these tasks. A task lighting can be achieved in a number of different ways. One is to install a low-profile fluorescent under the wall-mounted cabinets to provide a nice glow of light right on the counters where you may be doing some of these tasks. Another way is to strategically place recessed light so that the cone of light will illuminate right where you want that light. Another one that's a very popular way of adding a nice decorative touch to your kitchen is by using pendant lights. Now this is a light fixture that hangs from the ceiling on a small down rod, and these can be positioned anywhere you want. Very popular way of kind of lighting up an island cabinet. But you know, people also want nice even lighting in their kitchen, and a lot of homeowners choose to go with a fluorescent light mounted right in the middle of the kitchen. Now these look a lot better than the fluorescents of years ago because the covers over these fixtures completely block out being able to see the fluorescent tubes themselves, because that can kind of have a institutional or kind of a cheap look to it. But the best type of lighting in a kitchen is one that's very versatile, that'll allow you to turn on all those lights when you need that intensity, or to be able to kind of fine-tune the lights a little bit and maybe tone them down. Say you're having a party, because we all know everybody ends up in the kitchen during a party.
Danny, I've remodeled my kitchen and I'd like to use granite, but I'm just not sure it'll fit in my budget. Do you have any options for me?
Well, Jan, that's a great question, because granite is very popular these days, and the price has certainly come down in the last few years thanks to faster and easier ways to cut the granite. It's definitely hard to beat the look of granite, and it's also one of the most user-friendly surfaces for things like rolling out dough and pastries. And because it's stone, there's really no fear of burning or scorching it with a hot pan. However, while granite is scratch resistant, it still can be scratched, and the surface can also be stained by things like coffee. In fact, it needs to be sealed at least once a year to maintain the finish. Now, can it fit in your budget? Well, granite comes in a large variety of colors, but the lower priced granites are limited to only just a few choices, some starting at $35 to $40 per square foot. But the price can go as high as $300 a square foot depending on your selection. So to find out if it will fit in your kitchen remodel, take a look at the color choices and see if you can live with one of the lower priced ones. Well, Mrs. Hegeman's kitchen is almost complete. Just a few paint touch-ups here and there, and all of the installation of the ceramic tile she selected for the backsplash. Boy, this looks great with the color she's painting the walls, the countertop, the floor. Boy, it's really coming together, and that's what happens when you have a well-defined plan for your kitchen renovation. Now, that's not to say a few surprises won't come up every now and then, because when you're tearing into a wall or digging into something that someone else built, well, you may find a few things, but with a well laid out plan, it'll minimize those surprises that can kind of hinder a job. So that's very important to remember, our 10 steps to a successful kitchen renovation. Find some inspiration for your project. Develop a budget that meets your needs without over-investing in the house. Be sure that the new layout is functional and fits your style of cooking. Find a contractor you can communicate with and one that can get the job done. Now, whether you refurbish or replace your cabinets, be aware that they will set the tone for your new kitchen. Choose a countertop that fits your lifestyle. There are great options for any budget. Flooring in the kitchen should look good, feel good, and last. Select appliances according to your family's cooking style, not just their looks. Pick a quality sink and faucet. These two components can take a lot of abuse. Don't overlook the need for good lighting or the fact that it can be very attractive. There you have it, our 10 steps for a successful kitchen renovation. Now, of course, it's a little more work renovating a kitchen than just filling out a list, and you better be patient if you're renovating the kitchen in the house that you live in. But once it's all done, it's quite a payoff. Hey, I hope we've been able to give you some information that you can use on your next kitchen renovation. I'm Danny Lipford. We'll see you soon.